Good morning, class. Today we're going to discuss one of the most important lessons in assessment in learning, which is the validity and reliability of tests. Okay? Based on the experiences of my previous students who took the board examination, they told me that validity and reliability of tests appear in the board examination. But more than anything else, this lesson will guide you, of course, in constructing tests which are effective and tests which are fair. Okay, let's start our discussion. I'm going to show you some examples of test questions which I saw online. Then you have to tell me if these tests, if the answers of the students in the test are justifiable. No? What is a six-sided polygon known as? A stop sign. Sabi niya. Name a solid, poop. Name a liquid, pee. Name a gas, fart. Galing ng bata, ano? Ano pa? What is love? Ang sagot ng bata, baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What do you think is the best solution for overpopulation? Support argument with examples. Ang sagot ng bata, the Hunger Games. No, the Hunger Games daw is the best solution for overpopulation. The first cells were probably lonely. Sabi ng bata. The first cells were probably lonely. What else? Find X. Simple lang. Here it is. Sabi ng bata. Here it is. Rat. Rat. Six. Dad. STD. Sabi ng bata. Malungkot siya kasi may STD siya. That's how I understand it. No? Ano ba? Expand the following equation. Expand has a different term in mathematics, no? Jerica and Giancarlo. Pero dito, in-expand niya yung mga, in-expand, ibig sabihin, pinaluwang niya yung spaces para magkaroon ng expansion. No? Zero. What is a nitrate? It is much cheaper than a day rate. No? Day rate is the opposite of nitrate. Ganon. What do we call the science of classifying living things? Racism. Racism is the science of classifying things. Why am I showing you those examples of funny test answers of students? Actually, if you're going to read the answers, swak naman siya din. Swak siya sa mga tanong na gustong i-ask ng teacher. There might be problem with how the teacher made the test question. No? Hence, the test validity of hence the validity of the test questions are questionable here, no? Sabi ni According to Malone in University of California, both assessment and evaluation are based on the judgment of an experienced, thoughtful human being, which is, of course, an expert. Teachers are experts. You have assessment in learning one that you're taking right now. You will have assessment in learning two, which you will take next semester. And I think I will be your teacher again in assessment in learning two. Why do you have assessment in learning one and assessment in learning two? These subjects will help you become expert in assessing your students. And the only person who can assess the students is no other than a teacher. Therefore, the decision of assessment and evaluation is based not on a machine but based on a teacher who is expert in assessment. Why am I telling this to you? Because 2 years from now, perhaps you will be teaching in an actual classroom. You will be constructing tests, and students deserve questions that are fair and test questions that are well written by you. Okay, that's why we're talking about validity and reliability here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about validity and the types of validity and also an overview on reliability. Okay, now let's talk about validity. Validity is the degree to which the assessment measures what it is intended to measure. Okay, if My intention is to create a test that will measure your mastery on the lessons that we discussed. Then the test that I will create should really measure your mastery. No? If the test measures what it intends to measure to you, which is mastery, then the test is valid. However, if I constructed a test and the test instead measured your ability to pronounce words, am I constructing a valid test? No. Because the test is measuring something else, not mastery. Did you get it? Kung ano yung gusto mong i-measure sa estudyante mo, yun dapat yung mini-measure mismo ng test na gagawin mo. In the example that I have told you, if I want to measure mastery among you, then the test that I will create should really measure your mastery, not anything else. Okay? It denotes the extent to which an instrument is measuring what it is supposed to measure. If validity will appear on your board examination in the future, even if you will close your eyes, you can easily define it. No? It is the ability of a test to measure what it is supposed to measure. Please ilagay niyo yan sa inyong puso't isipan. Okay? I have here a confession from a student. Sabi niya, my teacher in English gave a long test in spelling, but he wants to assess our ability in grammar. Is his test valid? Obviously, his test is invalid. Okay? Ano pa? I got tired with my teacher's test in physical education. He told us that he wants us to demonstrate our skills in dancing, but he gave us a long test in music. Is the teacher's test valid? Obviously, the test is not valid. Okay? Yun. We have here the types of validity. We have construct validity, which means the assessment actually measures the construct that it is designed to measure. Now let's talk about construct. Okay? In discussing construct, we always talk of variables. Okay? These are what you call variables. Okay? These are what you call as variables. If you're going to combine these variables, you will form a construct. Okay? Let's take a look at this. No? Those in red, computational skills, logic and reasoning, sequences and series, will form one construct, which is what? A mathematical ability construct or a mathematical ability factor. If you're going to combine x2 and x3, they will both refer to one construct, which is language ability construct or language ability factor. In a nutshell, construct is the same with competency. In a nutshell, construct is the same with skills. Okay? Therefore, construct validity tells us that the test actually measures the skills that it is designed to measure. Okay? If the teacher wants to measure your skills in uh, computing the atomic number of one element in chemistry, then dapat yun mismo yung laman ng test. The test will really allow students to compute for the atomic number. Did you get it? But if kung yung laman ng test ay memorization ng elements or ng symbols ng elements sa chemistry, then the test has no construct validity. Did you get it? For example, here are the constructs. No? No. The simple tenses of verbs, the use of has and have, the SVA. Ito yung laman class pala. Ito yung laman ng tests. The simple tenses of verbs, the present, past, and future tenses, the use of has and have, the subject and verb agreement. Okay? Ang mini-measure na construct, kapag ganito yung laman ng test, ay grammatical ability and not mathematical ability. Did you get it? May pinupuntahang skill, okay, na gustong i-measure no test. That's construct validity. Okay? A part of our test required us to write the preamble of our constitution, but our teacher intends to measure our reasoning skills. You want to measure the reasoning skills of the students, pero ang laman ng test mo ay fill in the blanks, sa preamble ng Constitution, nagtutugma ba class yung construct na gusto mong i-measure sa laman ng test? Of course, it's not. No? Therefore, ang construct validity, yung laman ng test, ang gusto sabihin nun, yung laman ng test na gagawin mo will really target, will really measure the skill that you want to measure among your students. Kung hindi nagtutugma yung laman ng test sa gusto mong i-target, mapapalabas mo ba yung skill na gusto mong i-measure? Of course not. You have here concurrent validity. Concurrent validity states that the assessment correlates with other assessments that measure the same construct. No? Do we have an illustration here? We have the test A and we have test B. Pag may concurrent validity ganito, yung test A, gawa ni teacher A na nagtuturo ng English 1. Okay? English 1, section A. Bawa, si teacher B nagtuturo rin ng English 1, section B. Kung gumawa ng test si teacher A at teacher B, do you think dapat parehas ng laman? Yes. Dapat meron silang concurrent validity. Kasi they both measure the same skills of students coming from the same grade level from the same subject. Did you get it? No? Kung ako, yung teacher ng second year sa grammar, halimbawa lang, at si Sir Arnie, yung teacher ng second year na eduk din, na ibang section sa grammar, pag nag-test kami sa prelim, dapat iisa yung laman. Pag nagpa-test kami ng midterm, dapat iisa yung laman. Dahil iisa yung goal ng subject. Iisa yung gusto namin i-test sa estudyante namin. Kung yung test ko iba sa laman ng test ni Sir Arnie, yung test ko malamang walang concurrent validity or yung test niya walang concurrent validity kasi walang pagtutugma. Maliwanag class. I want to measure my students' mastery in the short stories I required them to read. I compared my test to my co-teacher in Filipino who has the same intention but his test has items on spelling. Therefore, may problema no, sa isang test paper ng teacher. Walang concurrent validity. We also have content validity. Ibig sabihin, the individual items of a test represent what you actually want to assess. That's content validity. Naku, wag kang maglalagay ng item doon na irrelevant sa skill na gusto mong i-assess. Okay? For example, the topics covered in the first grading period should just be the content of your test for the first periodical exam. Kung ano na-discuss mo sa first periodical period, yun lang ang laman ng test ng first periodical exam. Wag kang maglalagay ng mga lessons na hindi na-discuss. Kapag naglagay ka doon ng lessons na hindi na-discuss, yung gagawin mong yung gagawin mong test paper walang content validity. Kasi yung may mga items doon na sasagutan ng mga bata pero actually hindi naman na-discuss. At yung mga items na irrelevant sa skill na gusto mong i-measure sa kanila. So wala siyang content validity. Okay? I want to measure reading comprehension. What items can I include in my test? Sige nga. Can I include drawing conclusions or getting conclusions? Pwede ba? Pwede, no? Characterization. But I want to test reading comprehension. Actually, pwede, no? Your way of characterization to a character is based on your comprehension. Plot sequencing, ayusin mo yung mga events ng story, pwede. Syllabication, pwede ba? Siyempre hindi. Ba't ka magpapabilang ng syllables ng isang word kung gusto mong i-measure ang reading comprehension ng estudyante mo? Therefore, pwede yung unang tatlo, pero hindi pwede yung panghuli. Very wrong yung syllabication. No? Do we have other instances here? I want to include surprise items in my test. So I include items which I never discussed or covered in my subject. In my math subject, I like to see my students being challenged during the exam. Wrong! Wrong yan. Hindi pwede, ano? Na maglagay ka na ng surprise items. Parang defense mechanism mo lang yan, no? Na gusto mo na i-cover up yung reality na hindi mo na discuss yung lesson. No, that's very wrong. No? Wag yung gagawin. Only include those that you discuss. We also have face validity, my favorite. It refers to the test outward appearance. We're talking about formatting, alignment, consistency, and clarity. Kapag kawing-kawing class, yung number one, kawing sa 2, 3, 4, 5, walang face validity. Yon. It has no face validity. Bawa, yung test directions, mali-mali, ang hirap intindihin. Wala rin siyang face validity. Kaya nito, my students always complain about my test directions, which are unclear and sometimes this negligence affects the scores of my students. No? Yun, wala rin siyang face validity. Okay? I always check the alignment of my numbers when I create test questions. Matching type of test should not be placed in one page. And the options in a matching type of test should be placed in one page. And the options in a multiple choice type of test must never be separated from its stem. Actually, ako medyo OC ako sa paggagawa ng test question. No? Minsan yung mga numbers dapat naka-highlight para makita ng mga bata na they're answering another item. At yung 1, kung 1 to 15 yun na multiple choice, I always make sure na magkakapantay. Yung ABCD, lahat ng mga ABCD ng 1 to 15, magkakapantay din yun. Well, kaartehan siya, but actually it guards the face validity of your exam, which is very important. No? Kasi masakit sa mata class, no? Kapag nag-iiba-iba yung font size, nag-iiba-iba yung font style, kawing-kawing yung numbering. Actually ako minsan nakakalimutan kung lagyan ng line, kung saan ilalagay yung sagot. Yon. That also affects face validity. Okay? So we have just discussed the four types of validity, yung construct, concurrent, content validity, and then face validity. I hope class na maliwanag no, sa iyong puso't isipan ang mga bagay-bagay na ito. Now, let's have reliability. No? Reliability is the ability of the test to produce similar scores across various conditions and situations, including different evaluators and testing environments. Balikan natin last. Ano ba ang validity? Validity is the ability of the test to measure what it intends to measure. The ability of the test to measure what it is supposed to measure. Pag reliability naman, ability of the test to produce consistent results regardless of situations, regardless of evaluators and testing environment. Now, to illustrate what do you mean by reliability, let's talk about my car here. No, I just bought this yesterday. De joke lang. This is a car I saw online. Bumili ako ng car. If my car can function regardless of the weather, mapabagyo, humahangin, rainy season, pwede ko siyang gamitin. Tama ba? Kahit saan ako pumunta, kahit sa NCR, kahit sa Tugigaraw, kahit sa Baguio, kahit sa Kapatagan man yan, pabundukan, pwede ko siyang gamitin. Therefore, my car is reliable because it shows me consistent performance. Did you get it? Kung ang car mo ay pwede mo lang gamitin sa tag-ulan, hindi siya reliable because may pinipili siyang uh, certain condition. Kung yung car mo ay gumagana lang kapag tag-araw, hindi rin siya reliable. Reliable siya kung pwede mo siyang gamitin anytime. And the performance is just the same whatever happens. So, ang reliability. Sa test naman class, ang reliability, consistent yung scores na mapuproduce ng bata sa isang test regardless of condition. No? Bawat ito. Meron ba ditong illustration? To. A reliable educational assessment or a reliable test will yield similar results if it is administered more than once to the same group of students. A student who scores highly on the assessment the first time is likely to score highly the second and the third time. So, halimbawa, si Maverick Fragata, no? Nag-exam siya sa akin ng 1 to 50 na multiple choice. Tapos, after few days, pina-exam ko ulit sa kanya yung the same na test na in-exam niya nung una. Will Maverick give me the same score? Maaari yung una mataas, pwedeng mas mataas sa pangalawa. Maliwanag. Kung mas mataas sa pangalawa at hindi naman nagkakala yung score, ibig sabihin my test is reliable because it can produce similar results. Paano kung yung pangalawang test ni Maverick, yung una mataas, yung pangalawang score niya mababa, kalahati ng first score? Is my test reliable? Not reliable. Actually, there are certain things that we have to consider kung bakit nagiging hindi reliable yung score ng bata. Tignan nyo ha, pina-exam ko si Maverick sa air-conditioned classroom nung una, pinaulit ko sa kanyang ipatest, tapos yung classroom na ginamit ko walang aircon. Will that affect the score? Pwede, di ba? Sa una, sa unang test ni Maverick, yung proctor, ano siya, friendly. Yung pangalawang proctor naman yung pangalawang proctor, strict and very unfriendly. Will the score of Maverick be affected? Pwede. Nung unang exam, nung unang exam ni Maverick, 1 hour yung binigay ko. Pero yung pangalawang exam na, minadali si Maverick nung proctor, 30 minutes lang binigay. Well, yung score ba niya maapektuhan? May mga ganun kasing instances. No? Yung reliability class ng scores, maaaring ma tawag dito, maaaring yung reliability ng score or yung consistency ng score ng estudyante, maaaring maapektuhan ng iba't ibang factors. That is why conducive classroom is important in taking the test. Do you agree, my dear students? Because environment could be a factor that could affect your score. No? Take note, class instruments such as classroom tests and national standardized exams should be reliable. It should not make any difference whether a student takes the assessment in the morning or afternoon, one day or the next. Yun yung mga standardized test class, yung mga test na ini-exam ninyo dati, yung diagnostic test, yung nasa booklet na kulay gray, yung summative test, these tests should be reliable. Because kung si Angelica, in-exam niya yon ng umaga at itutuloy niya yun ng hapon, dapat yung score hindi nagbabago. Okay? Yung consistency ng score yung dapat hindi nagbabago. So how can we determine the reliability of the test? Uh, do we have, ito, sorry, ito. The simplest way to measure the reliability of a test is to apply again to the same group after an interval of time. We call this the test-retest method. I forgot to place here. Test-retest method. The results of the two trials are then correlated, and then the coefficient of correlation denotes the reliability of the test. Halimbawa, kung gusto mong malaman, halimbawa yung test na gagawin mo, gusto mong malaman kung reliable siya o hindi. So ipapatest ko siya sa estudyante ko. Ngayon, after 2 days, ipapatest ko ulit. Kung yung exam, yung scores nila sa first trial, i-compare ko sa scores nila sa second trial, at dapat yung scores nila sa first trial at second trial, hindi nagkakalayo. Dapat consistent. Did you get it? And there is a series of computation to do it. Okay? That only statisticians can explain to you clearly. Okay? So, like what I've told you, there are factors that may affect the reliability of test scores. Pwedeng yung psychological or physical state ng bata affected. May problema siya sa bahay. Nung second try out, naapektuhan na yung score ng kanyang test. No? Environmental factors and also the test form. Okay? Yung class, yung mga period, yung summative test na in-exam natin nung high school tayo, yung binabayaran natin ng 12 pesos, at saka yung diagnostic test, lahat yung class ay dumaan sa tryout. Yung tryout na sinasabi ko, yung ipapa-exam nila sa isang group of students, diba, yung diagnostic test na yon will be taken by grade 6 pupils. They will choose a group of grade 6 pupils, hindi silang actual na magte-test. Okay, ipapa-exam nila yung diagnostic test for these grade 6 pupils. No? I-check nila. After few days, ipapatest ulit. I-check nila. Kung hindi nagkakalayo yung scores, may reliability yung test. Pwede na nilang ipa-test sa actual na grade 6 pupils na kukuha talaga ng exam. Lahat ng mga yung mga test na class ng elementary at high school tayo, yung diagnostic test, summative test, lahat yun dumaan sa reliability measure. Yun nga yung pagtitest ng paulit-ulit at dapat yung scores ay pare-parehas. Can we do this also with our own tests? No? Yung bago ko ipa-exam ito sa mga grade 7 students ko, titignan ko kung reliable ba yung test ko. So ipapa-exam ko siya sa ibang section ng grade 7 ng ilang beses at titignan ko yung scores nila kung reliable o hindi. Maaaring igawin. But actually, in the public school, even in the private school, teachers instinct or teacher's judgment. Siya ang makapagsabi kung yung test na ginawa niya ay appropriate talaga sa mga estudyante niya. Okay? So only the test maker can attest if the test that he made is really appropriate to the nature of his or her students. Okay? Tingnan nyo class ha. A test that is reliable is not necessarily valid. Hindi porket reliable, hindi porket consistent yung results ay valid siya. Maaring reliable pero hindi valid. Pero ang test na valid, automatic reliable. If the test in if the test measures what it intends to measure, then that test will produce consistent results. So a valid test is a reliable test, but a reliable test is not necessarily valid. Okay, so that ends our discussion today about validity and reliability. I would like to repeat the last slide which may appear on your board exam. A reliable test is not necessarily a valid test. Hindi porket consistent yung scores at yung results can hindi porket consistent yung results, hindi porket consistent yung scores. That test can really measure what it intends to measure. But if a test can measure what it intends to measure, then automatic that test will produce consistent results. Okay, that ends our discussion. Thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, please message me right